Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of Expert Village, I'm going to be giving you a little insight on how to play the saxophone and maybe some origins of it, where it comes from. Saxophone was invented in the mid-19th century by Adolph Sax, hence the name saxophone, and it's basically a hybrid between a woodwind and a brass instrument. Whereas woodwind instruments are cylindrical, the saxophone is conical like a horn, and that's why many times it's referred to as a horn. Saxophones, like the human voice, come in different sizes. You know, different sized people have different voices, different sized saxophones have different voices. And there are 6 different saxophones that are in common use nowadays. The most common ones are the 3 that I have with me today, which is the B-flat tenor saxophone, the B-flat soprano saxophone. You see the much difference in size. It's probably about half the length. And you have the E-flat alto saxophone. You can see how they compare in size. Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of Expert Village, I'm going to talk with you a little bit on how to hold the saxophone. You need to have a neck strap of some kind. Now, you'll notice I have something that's different than that. It's a saxophone harness, and I started using it because at one point I had this very heavy saxophone, and it was causing kind of damage to my neck. And after going to doctors and stuff, I just decided I'm going to get one of these, and cleared the problem right up. So it's made by BG, and it's a harness. Usually use it for the larger saxophones like the baritone or the bass, which I don't have here. But this is tenor. It's heavy enough, and that's what I use now. Anyway, you need to have it on. You have to hook it into this hole right here. That's where you have to make sure it's hooked on good. About a couple of months ago, I thought it was hooked on, and I let that thing drop, and it was pretty expensive to fix it. So you don't want to do that. Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of Expert Village, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the saxophone, and in this particular clip, mouthpieces and reeds. There's so many mouthpieces out here. You have to try a lot of them to find out which one suits you personally. Many variables in a mouthpiece. One of the most important variables is the tip opening of the mouthpiece. Of course, what the mouthpiece is made out of is also an important consideration as well. But the tip opening will determine the strength of reed that you need to use in order to get your best sound. There's also, inside here, there's what they call the baffle, and that has to do with how close the inside of the mouthpiece is to the front of the reed there. And you have like what they call a high baffle, which means actually a small distance between the reed and the mouthpiece inside. Makes a bright, focused kind of sound, which is what most modern players are going for these days, as opposed to a more diffused, darker sound, which is more classically oriented. Now you have this thing here, it's called a ligature, okay. And that's what holds the reed onto the mouthpiece. Now I always do it this way. I mean, most people have a tendency, they think it's great to put the reed on and then put the ligature over. But then you run the risk of wrecking your reed. So, what I always do, put the ligature on first and slip the reed in like this. Just like that. And tighten her up, not too tight, just enough to hold it in there firmly. You put it on your neck piece, on the cork, and you're ready to go. Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of ExpertVillage.com, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about saxophone embouchure, which is how the mouthpiece and reed and how your mouth is around them. All right, basically, you're going to put your lower lip so that it's kind of like acts as a cushion between your lower teeth and your reed. And that if you want to kind of develop something that is like, as I said, like a cushion. And then your teeth are going to fit on top of the mouthpiece, and your lips will be around it, kind of. It looks like this. When I have the saxophone in my mouth, it's a relaxed kind of thing, because you don't want to pinch the reed in any way to prevent it from vibrating. You want that reed to be vibrating as much as possible. And the way you do that is your lower lip should not be tense in any way. It's got to be firm and have that cushion effect that I talked about earlier, but it should not be pinching the sides in any way. It's almost as if you have the reed like this, and you want your teeth and your lip to be kind of parallel to the reed, not grabbing it like that, but parallel. And that's the way you're going to get the best possible sound. This is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of Expert Village, in this segment I'm going to be talking about reeds. Now, the best way to choose a reed is to have it be like a little bit too stiff, and then break it in to where it's just right, and then it'll last maybe a week or maybe even a month. I usually get reeds that are maybe way too stiff, and then I balance them later. That's a whole skill, in balancing the reed with a knife or with sandpaper, or with a reed rush that they call. Anyway, first you want to get the reed moist, and you can soak it in a glass of water, or you can just put it in your mouth. And when you first play it, it should be a little bit too stiff, but then after you play it for a while, you want to discover which side is stiffer than the other, and they're always going to be out of balance, and it's your job to balance them. Some guys like to hold them up to the light and see how the pattern of the wood strands goes. You see, you have like the center of the reed here is the heart, and you don't want to ever mess with that. And then on the sides, you want to have something that's flexible, firm yet flexible. So you can sort of do it by feel, but I usually do it by playing to figure out which side is stiffer. Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of Expert Village, I'm going to continue talking about saxophone reeds with you. I decided that both of these sides of this reed need to be worked with. So what I'm going to do is just going to maybe just do some blowing on it just to loosen it up a little bit, And what you do is, it's sort of just on the side, just between here and here, basically. On that side, and then on the other side, you put your finger behind the reed to give it support, right where you're going to be cutting. And of course, if you're not careful, you can split the reed and then not be able to use it. So here I'm just going to whittle away a little bit of this wood, and I'm going to try it out and see what happened. Let's see. Yeah, maybe take a little bit more off that side. I got my finger going under here.
Okay.
And just like that. And let's see what's happening with it. This is Dave Birkin on behalf of ExpertVillage.com. I'm going to move on to how you hold the instrument. Now, the way it's designed to be held by, both your left and right hand. If you look over here, there's places for you to put your thumbs. You got this black thing over here with the thumb, and there's and this is the octave key. And here, you just have this hook that you just hook your right thumb onto, and that's solidifies that. If you look at the left hand, here is the B key. That's the one that you press the finger with. This thing here is actually what they call the auxiliary high F key. What it does is it opens up this key here, and you only use that occasionally. You see, that's that high F key, which is the high, the highest button there. But this is the second button here, and that's where you put your first finger most of all the time. Second finger, you skip over to this pearl thing here. You see this little doodad here is the bis key, and that's only used for certain fingerings of B flat. It's just usually you just have your finger here. Sometimes it's only accessed with the first finger. You see, you don't put your second finger there. So here you got first finger here, second finger here, and third finger on this G key here. And the pinky actually controls these four keys here. That's the extension of the saxophone, you see. But when you just, basically, you got your first three fingers here, the right hand fingers here, and there's just 1, 2, 3 keys there. And then there's a couple little possibilities for your pinky here. E flat key and C key right there. You see what they do is, they close the holes and they make the air column longer or shorter, and that's how you change the pitch. So if you close all the holes off, that's the lowest possible note that you can play. And on saxophone it's low B flat. Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of ExpertVillage.com, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the major scale on the saxophone. Now, I guess the most obvious thing to do is just play the C major scale. It seems to be the basic scale for all instruments. It's the white notes on the piano. Of course, saxophone is transposing instruments, so when I play C on this instrument, it's actually B flat. But for all our purposes, we're going to talk about C. And the way you play it is if you go down to you play the low C, it's, you basically your left stack and your right stack, 3 and 3 here, and then you put your pinky down on this one here. That's your low C key right there. And the way it's designed is you just basically take one finger off for each note. So that's the C. And then this is the D. You take your pinky off and you got D. And then you take your third finger off here, and that's E. And take this finger and second finger off, and that's going to be F. And you notice the way a scale is constructed, it's whole steps and half steps. You got a whole step between 1 and 2, a whole step between 2 and 3, and a half step between 3 and 4. You want to keep your fingers as close to the keys as possible. So I'm just showing this to demonstrate it. But when you're playing, you don't take your hand off that way. It's just like that, da, 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 like that. And then we get to the left hand, and that's G. So you're not playing anything with your right hand when you play G. A. 2 fingers there. B. See, just like that. But of course, you want your fingers ready to go. You put them just as close as you can to the keys. And then C is played with the middle finger. Then when you want to play in the next octave, you pretty much play the same thing, except you're starting on this note right here. And you go to an octave above D, which would be just the way you played it in the low register, but with the octave key. So you rock your thumb forward. So to go from this C here to this D here. And then you just play pretty much the same thing you did in the lower octave. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to learn new fingerings for the next octave. Hi, this is Dave Birkin, and on behalf of expertvillage.com, I'm going to talk to you about the chromatic scale on the saxophone. Now, I'm going to start on C, and I'm going to show you all the 12 tones that makes the Western musical system. So we've got the C that we had before. In order to play the C sharp, you see, in order to play the C sharp, you have to make this key over here. You have to make this key open up, and that's done with your left pinky, and it's this key right here. You see, there's 3 keys. There's 4 keys that this pinky